When it comes to mobile payments, the safety of your information is key. PayPal co-founder Max Levchin sees increased responsibility on the part of the provider.
The downside of being as interconnected and as broadband-centric as we are is we're vulnerable, and the more open, the more electronic you're going to be, the more bad guys are going to try to get into your systems and take away what's yours.
For more on mobile payments, we bring in an investor, Venky Ganesan. He is joining us. He is a managing director at Menlo Ventures. He's made two big investments in the sector, Check and PlaySpan. Venky, thanks very much for joining us. Glad to have you with us. What do you make of this increased responsibility of the provider? Because safety and security, as we've seen with JP Chase, really key.
It's very important to have a safe environment. For mobile payments to take off, we need people to feel secure. Secure and trust are the lubricants of our economy, and I think cybersecurity is a very important fact to get right. Okay,
what do you make of, you probably just heard me speaking with Doug McMillan, my colleague at the Wall Street Journal, about Twitter getting into payments in France, albeit maybe that's their test bubble. But what do you make of security concerns with something like that?
Well, I think it's very important, because if you don't get the security right and you get hacked, you're going to have a massive erosion of trust. Look at what happened to Target. We have a company called BitSight that tracks all these security ratings for retailers. And what we found is that when these retailers and other places get breached, their business gets affected. So I think it's very important to get the security right.
Okay, so getting the security right, are social networking companies in a position to do that? We just read this morning about another kind of hack with Snapchat.
Yeah, well, I think so far the history has not been great. We have seen the Snapchatting or the Snapchatting, which is what they call it, where your snaps have been exposed. It's very worrisome. We also had the hack in Apple, where pictures of celebrities was released. So it's very important to make sure that you have the right infrastructure in place, and that you actually make sure that you secure it before you launch your service.
What do you think about Facebook doing the same? Because it's not just hackers, it's also the way that some of these social media companies have used data. And we remember that Facebook users, some anyway, were very upset by Facebook's so-called manipulation of emotions experiment.
Well, I think what is becoming very clear is that users want to be involved. They don't like to be used as, lab rats and tested out on these things. So I think it's important on social media organizations to build the trust and make sure that when they do run experiments, they do it with the full disclosure and permission of their users.
As far as what this means for Apple Pay, as we've been talking about, it looks set to launch on Thursday. What does this mean to the whole space? So that is to say, Apple Pay, Alipay, PayPal, I mean, it's getting more crowded.
Well, what I think I've realized is that mobile payments is the new gold rush, and everybody wants to be in the business of selling picks and shovels. We have a lot of experience in this area at Menlo Ventures. We invested in Check, which we sold to Intuit, and PlaySpan, which we sold to Visa. And what I have realized is that banks are probably the only organization that have a lower rating than Congress, so everybody feels there's an opportunity to go in and sell these financial services.
So there are numerous opportunities, as you point out, and a loss of faith in many ways as far as the consumer experience goes. Venky Ganesan joining us there, Managing Director from Menlo Ventures. Thank you very much for the time.